My desk is a bit of a mess. I definitely need some shelves of some kind, but the challenge I'm running up against is I've got this heat exchanger up here. This heat exchanger has some electrical and refrigerant lines coming out of it. I don't know exactly where, but I do know that they're in the wall right where I want to hang a shelf. I'm hesitant to drill into the wall for risk of damaging either of those, which would be very bad. I'm hoping to use these slat walls as a base for a floating shelf. So these are already up on the wall. They're really secure. It distributes the load nicely kind of over the entirety of the wall. I'm hoping I can use some 3D printed parts that I stick in between the slats and use that kind of as a base to hang stuff up. I'm going to start with floating shelves, but if I come up with a system of some kind, I will have additional opportunities to kind of hang cool stuff up on these slat walls, which are already present in my office. Here I've got a section of the slat wall that I was using. I had to cut it to actually fit the heat pump, but that actually works in our favor just from a testing standpoint. So the slat wall itself, if you look at the end, is just some like MDF with a fascia glued on it. And if you flip this over, you'll notice it's just a kind of felt material and it's stapled in kind of discrete locations. And what's nice about that is that it gives a little bit of space in between those staple points. So I am hoping to use this similar to aluminum extrusion or 80/20. Give me one sec, I'll find an example of that. I've got a section of 80/20 and two different kinds of nuts. One of them is the standard nut, which just slides in from the end. So that slides in and allows, fasteners to be installed. That one's great, but specifically for kind of making this work with a slat wall, there's a better kind. These are called drop-in nuts. The way these work is you can actually drop them in anywhere along the profile, and then the action of actually putting in a bolt, drop it in and then start to turn. And as my fastener tightens, you can see it actually connects and it turns itself, and now it's locked in. If I tighten this guy down, anywhere along this extrusion, I can now kind of place a fastener and connect. My idea is to take essentially this type of geometry and make it compatible with the slat wall using 3D prints. So I'm hoping to kind of take this, drop it in, turn it, and then have a mounting point to make an adapter for it. So I went ahead and printed my idea. This is kind of a revision of a quarter turn fastener or a drop-in nut. So the idea here is that you take this, you put it into the slot, and then you can take a screwdriver or something. With a little bit of push and a twist, that sits in there. I will obviously be putting in some threaded fasteners, and that allows me to then essentially, give myself a mounting point kind of anywhere on any of these slots. And I'm, confident that that will hold some amount of weight, and the hope is that it's enough weight to, make a shelf that's useful. The kind of second assumption to test for this whole concept is if the slat wall units actually line up. I will be making an adapter plate, but I'd like it to be as close to the wall as possible. So I went ahead and bought a slat wall. Most slat walls have kind of an inner metal frame, and that's what this is. So the idea here is, do any of these mounting holes line up with these slats? And thankfully, the one that I bought happened to line up at a nice interval. So I can get at least 2 direct mounting holes, which means I can keep this very tight to the assembly. I'm gonna put a handful of additional fasteners in the kind of assembly. The goal there being just to distribute the force a little bit nicer and give the shelf a higher kind of overall capacity. So next step is to take kind of the dimensions from this, take the design of this fastener and kind of incorporate that into an adapter plate, which will take the kind of frame of the floating shelf and adapt it for the slat wall design. And after a little bit of CAD, we're back at kind of the, floor model, the literal floor model of the slat wall. So I've got the connectors here. I've inserted a threaded heat set insert in there. This still works the same. You place that in, kind of use a screwdriver to push and twist. That goes in. But now I've got an adapter plate. So this adapter plate is specifically for the hanging shelf kind of back plane, but you can imagine this being made for anything that you want to hang on the wall. And the idea is you just take a fastener, you have to do a little bit of lining up, which is difficult to do while holding a camera. And then the idea here is I can twist this. Now this plate is very solidly coupled. Okay, if I take a hook, this is really solidly on there, and I can put more fasteners in there to actually hook this plate to it, or I can design something else to adapt to a plate, or make this as an aesthetic cover, or adapt it for lights, anything like that. So I'm going to print out a bunch of these. I'm going to print out a bunch of the adapters, and then put a shelf on the wall and see if it works. Here it is at the end of the project. So the desk is nice and clean now. All that stuff has been picked up from the desk and put up on a series of shelves. Getting some shelves doesn't make me a more organized person. So the shelves currently are pretty cluttered, but getting all that clutter kind of off of my desk is a huge kind of mental relief. Nothing quite like a clean desk to be focused on a new task or a new project. So I'll leave a link in the description to the shelves that I bought, the hardware that I bought, as well as I'll put these up on like printables or something and share a link to that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. That's all I got today. Thanks. See you in the next one. Bye.